Before I start today's episode, you may find it sounds a bit different today than usual. I'm just back home after a few weeks in London. I usually carry my microphone with me so that I can carry on recording for my weekly videos. And this time I forgot to pack it up. Fortunately, I stayed at a friend's and the microphone is not lost. But I have no plan to return to him till later in the year. I'm currently recording on my old portable voice recorder, and we'll see how it goes. I apologize for any inferior quality. Now, back to the show. We often say friends are for life, but some friends seems to want to keep the friendship beyond life. Today we are reading weird accounts of dead friends coming back to take their old friends back with them. After all, there are sometimes very little difference between love and jealousy or attachment and obsession, and they might be thinking they still deserve your friendship even after life. But not all of them are shady. At least in one story, a dead friend comes to his old friend's aid in the moment of danger too. So, here are 5 allegedly true stories about dead friends coming back. As always, handpicked, translated, and narrated by a host, Anthony. It's a story from my mother. Her childhood home was in a small countryside village, so small that in the entire village there was just one another girl who was about the same age as Mom. Naturally, they were the besties, since there was no other options anyway. One day, her parents went out for some reason in the early hours of evening. My mother being the oldest among her siblings, she was lighting fire in the kitchen for her younger brothers in the room. For the Korean traditional floor heating system, one puts wood fire or burning coal directly under the floor. The fireplaces would be outside the rooms, usually in the kitchen, so that the fire can double as a cooking fire. Then, she heard a friend calling for her from the outside. "Young-hee, come out and let's play." She was glad her friend came to visit her. After all, her home was on the other side of the village. But she wanted to finish what she was doing first, and yelled back, "Let me finish this first! Wait up!" Not long after, her friend called out once again, "Come on, Young-hee, hurry up!" If you ever try to start fire on fresh wood, you would know it takes time. So Mother replied, "Wait up! I have to get the fire going." Now the friend sounded somewhat irritated. "I'm going if you're not coming." My mother in turn was also a bit irritated. Why didn't she just come into the kitchen rather than shouting from the outside? It wasn't that she didn't visit her home before either. Mom came out of the kitchen only after she managed to make the stable fire, only to find her friend was gone. She just assumed the friend must have got too impatient and just busied herself with preparing dinner for her brothers. Her parents came back home quite late with a shocking news. Apparently, they went to pay their condolences because Mom's friend had a fatal accident. Mom protested that it couldn't be, as her friend was there just that evening. Her mother responded, "I guess she wanted a company to the world beyond. Good that you didn't come out." Apparently the dead or the reaper could call for you only 3 times to lure you to go with them. I had a bit of wild high school years until rather belatedly decided to aim for art major. I basically touched everything on the list of a typical teenage delinquent: drink, smoke, billiard, motorbike. I don't regret those years, but I admit I'm not proud either. So, naturally, all my friends then were the same kind of wayward kids. We all enjoyed riding and speeding on motorbikes until one of our friends, Lee, had an accident. He was speeding around on his motorbike with Kim, his mate from middle school, on the back. I wasn't friend to Kim, but knew who he was too. And their bike crushed into a running car at an intersection. They were thrown and tumbled around like rag dolls, and barely managed to crawl out to the roadside, but quickly started losing consciousness. The last thing Lee remembered before he passed out was how touts from nightclubs around, gathering around him and Kim, saying, "Are these kids dead?"
Serves them right.
They poked Lee and Kim with their toes and walked away. Lee didn't even feel much pain, guess it was the adrenaline, but couldn't stop his tears for the fear of death. When he woke up next, he was in the hospital. Sadly, his mate Kim didn't make it and died on the way to the hospital. When I and some friends were finally allowed to visit him, Lee looked gaunt, and the dark circles around his eyes were reaching down his cheeks. "Oi, how are you feeling?" I asked. Silence. "Do you need anything?" another friend asked. Silence. He was shivering and eyes were wet. We just thought he should be in much pain, both physically and mentally. He lost a friend after all. All the time we were there, Lee didn't say a thing. But as we bade him goodbye, he finally opened his mouth.
"You see, every night, Kim visits me, shedding tears over his blood-smeared face. He comes up to my face and whispers, 'I'm scared to go, come together with me.'"
I stopped going for a mad motorbike rides since then. Almost exactly a year ago, I was down with a bad flu, unlike my usually healthy self. In the second day of achy body and delirium, I was limp in bed all alone in my dorm room. Anybody who was in the similar shoes would understand that it feels pretty sad to be sick and alone with nobody to care for me. I could not even get up to fetch something to eat or drink. I just constantly went in and out of sleep. And then I got a dream. There was my friend, Mi-jung, the bestie throughout my high school years, and who killed herself 2 years prior. Yet I don't think I thought it odd, because she looked not like her teenage self, but more mature, as if she didn't die and grew up older with me. We reunited just like in the old days, going around the town arm in arm, chatting and laughing like the world was our oyster. I think I hadn't been so happy in recent years. Time flies when one is having fun, and it was already getting dark. "Why don't you come to my place?" Mi-jung said. "Really? But your dad hates it when you bring a friend home," I said. Don't worry. Now I have my own place. Wow, okay, why not? I was so happy to see her again and just came along with her. We were on the familiar route back, but it felt oddly uncanny. Was it because of the dusk? Both the way and my friend herself looked suddenly unfamiliar. Then suddenly somebody snatched my arm. It was my mom's old friend Kyungja, whom I called Auntie. What are you doing here? Don't you know your mom's waiting? Go back home now! She shouted. She usually treated me gently, and I had never seen her so upset. Well, okay, my friend didn't really have that good reputation among neighbors. Nevertheless, she was my dear friend. I shouted back. I just want to be with my friend. I'm not a child anymore. Leave us alone. I would have never spoken back in that manner in real life. I'm rather shy and would never go against my parents or senior members. But in that dream, I was full on temper. Auntie Kyungja now turned to my friend. You naughty girl! What are you trying to do? Leave her alone and go away! Why are you bullying my friend? What had she done wrong? I shouted. Knock it off and go back to your mom, or else! Auntie Kyungja hit back. It all felt so rote and unfair, and I just loudly bursted into tears. When? It was the ringing of my phone that woke me up. Hello?
Hello, are you alright?
It was Mom. Mom, I'm ill. Probably a flu. It's pretty bad.
Poor thing. Shall I come over?
Nah, you are hours away. I'll be fine, don't worry. After the call, I finally gathered enough energy to get up and put a bowl of instant porridge in the microwave. While sitting on the sofa waiting for it to be done, I suddenly realized something. Auntie Kyungja passed away 9 years ago. I called Mom back. Mom, why did you call me earlier? Did you know I'm unwell?
It's just, you know, Kyungja, my old friend. She appeared in my dream and urged me to give you a call.
Mom said. Auntie Kyungja? What did she say?
That you are in danger and I should call you immediately. Maybe she knew you are very ill.
I could not explain to Mom what happened in my dream, that my friend was trying to take me away. It all could have been just coincidences, but isn't it so uncanny that how my and Mom's dream came in such a close timing? And before that day and never after have I seen Auntie Kyungja in a dream again. Mijung, my dead friend, still occasionally appears in my dream, except she would not come up to me again. She would just stare at me from a distance and disappear again. Before I start the story, I first have to mention that I was born with a spiritual sensitivity. I've been told that my frequency overlaps with that of spiritual world and can sense and attract spirits and ghosts easily. If you don't believe in such things, I won't argue, but it's no way of bragging, because that sensitivity does bring quite a few burdens and cautions that otherwise I wouldn't have had to even think about. It goes back to my last year of middle school. In my time, we needed to take a test to go to high school, bit like SAT. And if you didn't get good enough result, you could end up in a vocational school or a school far away from home. So even though it was summer vacation, we still had to attend extra classes the whole time, except for one last week before the next term started. After enjoying that sweet but ever so short week off, I was back to school, but what met me was a shocking news. That a classmate passed away. He and his family were on the way back from a day trip, and they had a fatal car accident. We weren't besties or anything, but we were classmates in 2 years in a row and often in the same bus home because our homes were in the same direction. The last time I saw him was indeed in the bus home before the week off. He was envious of the poster I happened to obtain featuring his favorite actress.
"Give it to me,"
he said jokingly, and I teased him with sticking my tongue out, chanting, "Nya nya 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 nya." And he was now dead. Teenagers under pressure and stressful daily routine would find a way to stem off, sometimes into a bit weird direction. In my school, 분신사바 game was all the rage. It's a kind of crude Ouija board game that aims to call and communicate with a spirit. And the rumor went around that some mates playing 분신사바 managed to contact my dead classmate. It quickly became a craze to play the game trying to contact him. Having had spiritual experiences than most normal people, I was pretty upset that other mates were treating it like a game. Then, one day I had a dream. By the way, linking to my spiritual gift, I often have uncanny dreams that seems to have direct implication to reality. In the dream, I was back in my primary school. Among the strange faces that were supposed to be my classmates was the dead mate too.
"Come play with me,"
he said. And that was the beginning of this series of nightmares. As I mentioned, I have spiritual sensitivity, and that seems to attract ghosts to me. By then I already experienced quite a few instances of passing ghosts trying to attach themselves to me, so my parents were worried about this dead friend keep appearing in my dreams. My family is Buddhists, and they got me a bead from the temple that repels ghosts, and also taught me a line from a scripture that was supposed to do the same. And one day at school, a few mates were playing 분신사바 game during a break right behind me. With the continuing nightmares, I was pretty touchy about it and told them to quit it. But would they ever listen? I just clutched on the beads my parents gave me and recited a line of scripture in my mind. Not 5 minutes later, I heard the mates complaining. "Well, nothing's happening. Other bodies seem to get him all the time."
"Let's try some other time."
I just smiled to myself. A few days later, I had yet another dream. This time, I was in the middle school, and a broomstick talked to me that I should come with it. I instantly recognized the broomstick was the dead mate. I told him, "I'm so sad with what happened to you, but I think it's not yet my time, and I still have lots to do left here. I won't follow you today, but come back to me when my time's up, and I'll come with you happily." At that, my mate in the shape of broomstick disappeared, and I didn't see him again in my dreams. I still think of him sometimes, forever young, unlike me who is getting old now. I wonder if he would really come to me when my time comes. It's from my uni years, which makes it about 7 years ago. My uni was in Gyeonggi-do, and its campus, situated on a vast land, included small hills and a lake. That day my friends from hometown came to visit me. Including my roomie and his girlfriend, we 7 ate and drank a ton all evening. Then my roomie gave off the signal to give him and his girl some privacy. So I and 4 friends went to the uni campus at about 1 a.m. We were all drunk and was up to have some fun. So we decided to play a hide and seek, not among ourselves, but with a security guard. We threw a pebble at the security post to lure him out. Just as we intended, he started chasing after us, and we ran. Childish game, but you don't expect rationality from the young and drunk. During the chase, I slipped and fell down the slope to the lake. I sprained my ankle a bit, so just sat there, catching my breath. In the sudden quietness and pitch dark, it felt a bit creepy. I called my girlfriend to shake off the mood. "Hey, Jian, it's me," I said.
"Ah, sweetie, what's up so late?"
Girlfriend said. "I was just fooling around a bit with my mates and fell down. I think I sprained my ankle."
"Oh, call your friend quickly."
"Yeah." "Oh, what's that?" I said, finding something. A girl in a short red skirt was climbing up the hill on the other side of the lake. Girlfriend didn't believe me.
"You can't be serious,"
she said. "I know, right? Maybe I'm so drunk." Girlfriend's voice got suddenly very serious.
"Fumble your legs now. Are they wet?"
"No. Why?" I asked.
"Are you sure? You're not in the water, are you?"
"What are you talking about? You're scaring me." Soon girlfriend lightened up, and I think we carried on with a little silly chit-chat for a while, until I saw my friends walking along the bank around the lake. I called their names out loud. But my friends just looked down at me from the bank and walked away. Those cold stares. I reported what just happened to my girlfriend.
"Are you sure you didn't fall in the lake? Or your friends, perhaps? I'm calling them now. Hang up and wait up,"
she said, now again very serious. Soon she called me back and said she tried to ring all 4 of them, but nobody picked it. She was more nervous about the whole situation than I was. It was then I heard my friends calling my name, again up from the bank.
"Don't answer them. It's all too odd. Keep silent,"
Girlfriend said with a quick urgency. But soon my friends found me sitting on the bench by the lake and started shouting at me.
"You bastard! We've been looking for you all around! Why didn't you answer our call?"
"But my girlfriend said none of you answered her call either," I shouted back. Girlfriend seemed to be still nervous and demanded that she talk to them herself. She clearly asked all sorts of questions to make whatever show to her satisfaction, and only then told me to go back to my place with them. My ankle was swollen a lot and I could hardly walk. My friends practically carried me. Before we reached my room, they said they seemed to have left something in the campus, that they should go back to search for it. They dropped me at an internet cafe, and I sat there surfing the internet, waiting for a long time. My phone rang. It was my girlfriend. "Hey, are you still up?" I said.
How could I fall asleep, you bastard? What have you been doing all this time? Why didn't you pick up your phone?
She said. She claimed that she phoned me back after calling my friends earlier, and I didn't answer. I was confused. But I did talk to her then. Who was it if it were not with my girlfriend? Just then I saw my friends entering the internet cafe.
You son of a bitch! What are you doing here?
They shouted upon seeing me. The biggest of them even dragged me off the chair. "Ow, ow, ow, be careful, my ankle!" I moaned, not understanding what was going on.
What about your ankle, bastard?
"You know I sprained my ankle. You carried me down here." Now friends looked confused, if still angry. They claimed that they'd been looking for me all around the campus the whole time. They even alerted the security staffs. But that didn't make sense. Who were they then that carried me to the internet cafe? Friends further said that they did find me at one point, but I ran away up the hill. Again, that didn't make sense. Wherever could I run with this ankle? I asked the cafe staff if he didn't see these guys carrying me in earlier. The staff confirmed my account, which left all of us confused. One of friends got serious that it couldn't be a normal situation. Despite of my protest, he called my parents and, to my surprise, they not only answered the call promptly, it was just passing 5 in the morning, but also agreed to come over to me, which was about 4-hour journey from their place. It later turned out both my parents had exactly the same dream that night, of me chased by a woman holding a knife. They woke up with a startle at the same time too. Finding out they shared the same dream at the same time, they were worried if something happened to me. And it was right then that my friend called them. Upon their insistence, I came back home with them. In the following few days, we sought an opinion from a psychiatrist to the clergyman of my family's church. They all said I drank too much and should keep it modest in the future. Reasonable, but it just seemed to fail to explain what happened that night. Neither I nor my parents said it out loud, but all of us was considering something ghostly. It was my grandma who directed us to a shaman. A great one, Grandma called her. It was a long journey to a remote village to meet the shaman, and turned out she was a very, very old lady, probably over 90. As soon as she laid her eyes on me, she exclaimed, "Oh dear, oh dear." She said she needed a day to prepare things. So, the following day, in the village's center, it was all set up for the cleansing ritual, with food, bows, and all that. I honestly didn't believe in any such things. I was more irritated with the whole thing than anything else. When the old shaman walked up and talked to me, with such a dry, husky, and haunting voice that didn't seem to be from a human, you wouldn't be able to imagine it until you hear it yourself. "Chang-song!" And she called my name with that voice. I ignored it. "Chang-song!" "Mom, it's getting too weird. Let's quit it," I complained to my mother, but stopped short, seeing my parents' shocked faces. Chang-song was my name all right, My old name. I had changed my name many years ago, and nobody else could know that old name apart from my parents. At first I thought my parents told it to the shaman, but judging by their expression, that wasn't the case. I was still more confused than anything else, and the shaman continued.
Chang-sung, have you forgot me?
How do I know who you are? I responded bluntly.
It's me, JJJ.
That was the nickname of my friend, because all 3 syllables of his name started with J. Why are you mentioning my dead friend? What do you want? I shouted, despite of myself. But the shaman didn't relent. She walked up close to me, now straight and nimble, like a young person.
Have you forgot my voice already?
She said. Her eyes, the posture. She bent down to me and whispered in my ears.
I'm JJJ. You don't believe it?
And then she started recounting about the story between me and JJJ. The secret only I knew. We were 15 then. That day, we sniffed glue and went on riding motorbike along the beach. That detail I didn't even tell the police. When my friend was dead already, I didn't want to state it all out. JJJ crushed into the lamp post, was thrown 20 meters away, and died on the spot. I ran to him, kneeled in front of his mangled body, and that's the last what I remember. For a few months, I hardly ate and isolated myself from the world. Changing my name was an attempt to overcome the trauma, along with a year-long psychiatric treatment. And now, this old shaman came up to me, calling my old name and telling the story nobody else knew. If chills had a sound, the chills I felt then must have been deafening. I could just watch her mouth moving, saying,
It was so lovely to see you again then. Let us meet again sometime.
Shaman then spreaded millet on the floor and told me to bow to that. I did, without any question. I wasn't myself anymore by then. And I saw, we all saw, across the millet grains, little birds' footprint appear one by one, as if an invisible bird was walking over it. Shaman said, now in a usual voice,
That day, death was written in your fate, but your dead friend came to rescue you. The one who carried you away from the danger was that dead friend. The other friends you saw that night earlier were in truth malicious spirits that were after you, meaning to harm you. And your dead friend came down to save you.
I don't know if what Shaman said was true or not, but having seen inexplicables unfolding right in front of my eyes, I couldn't say anything. When it was all done, I paid a visit to the parents of my dead body and poured a bottle of rice wine to the river where his ash was scattered. Goodbye, my friend. And thank you. Hi, it's Anthony here, and thank you very much for listening. I hope you enjoyed today's stories despite the technical issues. Now, I have a little announcement to make. This was already episode 149, and next week's episode will be the compilation of my favorite stories from the past 49 episodes. So far, I gave myself a week off after each 50th episode, but this time I'm going to make it a full month. As I mentioned 2 episodes ago, I'm visiting my family in Korea soon, and so far I usually carried my microphone around when I travel so that I could keep producing videos. But I don't think there would be a good enough space at my parents' place in Korea. And anyway, I left my mic in London now too, so probably it's not a bad idea to have a little break. I apologize to my small but loyal fans, but I promise I'll be making lots of footages of authentic Korea and come back with renewed energy on Sunday 22nd July. I hope you don't forget my channel meantime. Please don't forget to give my video a thumbs up and a comment, and please consider subscribing to my channel. If you'd support me more directly, I also have a Buy Me a Coffee account too. The link's in the description. I'll come back with a compilation video next week. Stay safe and take care.